just got done watching a highly anticipated basketball game between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers, an MVP matchup in Giannis Antetokounmpo versus Joel Embiid. Tonight, there's so much to talk about because the Milwaukee Bucks put a beat down on the Philadelphia 76ers, 117-104. Kind of got a little close near the end there, but Giannis didn't play because they were up by 20-something points late in the fourth quarter. Ultimately, this game told us a lot, but to me, showed us something that we should have known a long time ago. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in basketball. Giannis Antetokounmpo deserves to be MVP over Joel Embiid. And this is going to be one of my hottest takes of the year, that the best player on the best team deserves to be the MVP. I know that's unpopular. I know that a lot of people out there are riding this narrative that Joel Embiid is the MVP. I know when they just released that straw poll that Joel Embiid is right now the favorite to win MVP. But I can't fully wrap my head around what makes Embiid the MVP over Giannis. And we're going to break down some of the numbers. We're going to break down some of their impact. And overall, I think by the end of this, we're going to be in agreement that Giannis Antetokounmpo is the MVP and that the Milwaukee Bucks are the favorite in the Eastern Conference to make it out of the East and make the NBA Finals. Before we get into it, take a second to subscribe to the channel. We're up over 1,100 subscribers. We're getting pretty close to 1,200. So take a second to subscribe. As the playoffs come up, we're doing videos every night. We're going to be grinding like crazy. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll have a ton of discussions and just analyze what we're seeing, because I think that's not done enough when it comes to covering the NBA. I think people have their opinions and their takes, and that blinds them from actually analyzing what they're seeing on the court. So tonight, the Milwaukee Bucks won, moving them to 56-22 on the season. Tonight, they were led by Giannis Antetokounmpo, who had 33 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks, and 1 steal. Khris Middleton had 19 points, 9 assists. Brook Lopez had 21 points, 6 rebounds. Jrue Holiday had 18 points. And off the bench, Bobby Portis had 18 points, actually being only 2 guys that scored off the bench for the Milwaukee Bucks. On the other side, the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid had 28 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Tyrese Maxey had 29 points. James Harden had a robust 11 and 6. And then Daniel House had 10 in garbage time there. So really not much else to speak of there. The Milwaukee Bucks pretty much dominated this game from start to finish. They were up 15 points after the first quarter, and Philly made a little bit of a run in the beginning of the third quarter, and Milwaukee ended up closing that out to end the third quarter, and from that point forward, it really wasn't close. So when we're talking about this Giannis versus Embiid debate, to me, there's certain things that we look at for criteria to determine who's the MVP. What's your team's record without you? What's your impact on the court, offensively, defensively, scoring, efficiency, rebounding, assists? On the defensive end of the court, are you trusted to take big assignments? And, you can look at analytics, you can look at media narrative. To me, a lot of that stuff is a little overrated when it comes to the narrative thing. I think is stupid to me. I think that we should look at each individual season in its totality. And I don't think that previous years should really come down to, hey, Joel Embiid was really good last year, so that should matter. Hey, this guy struggled in the playoffs, that should matter. I don't really look at those things. The last thing I look at is games played. These 2 guys happen to be 2 games apart in games played, so that's not enough of a gap to matter to me. The Bucks are 46-16 when Giannis plays. That's 74% winning percentage, 74.2 to be exact. The 76ers are 42-22 when Joel Embiid plays. That's 65.6% winning percentage. So the Bucks are 9 points better in winning percentage when Giannis plays versus the Sixers when Embiid plays. Joel Embiid averages 33 points per game on 54.4% shooting. Giannis averages 31.1 points per game on 55%. Giannis averages 1.6 more rebounds per game, 1.5 more assists per game. On the defensive end of the court, I think you could argue for either of them being, top 3 to 5 defenders in the NBA. Giannis is unbelievable moving his feet. He makes defensive plays that really no one else in the NBA can make. If you remember in their finals run a couple years ago, that play he made on the Phoenix Suns where he was able to guard the driver and then turn around and block 8, and was one of the most unbelievable defensive plays you'll ever see. Joel Embiid, in his own right, is an unbelievable defender. He's an incredible rim protector. He moves his feet pretty well for the size he is. And this is not any Joel Embiid hate. This isn't me taking a chance saying that Joel Embiid's not a great basketball player. But Giannis is the best basketball player in the NBA. Joel Embiid tonight was 11 of 25 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3. Giannis had more points and 8 less shots, 13 of 17 from the field. When you watch the two guys play against each other, I think it's clear who has more of an impact on their squad and more of an impact on winning. And I think that that's Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think that we overthink the award. We overthink who's the best player in sports. We did it in the NFL when you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, who's clearly the best QB in the NFL, but we want to bring in a bunch of guys to constantly debate. Giannis, until proven otherwise, is the best player in basketball. If Embiid wins the NBA Finals this year and wins an MVP, we can start to have a discussion. If Jokic wins the NBA Finals this year, maybe we can start to have a discussion. But as it presently stands, it is Giannis Antetokounmpo, number 1. And I'm not going away from that. He was a plus 21 tonight, which led the team. Embiid was a minus 10. This individual game in particular, and what I love so much about this Milwaukee Bucks team, and why I think that and let me say this, I'm not a Milwaukee Bucks fan, so none of this is coming from a fandom perspective. It's strictly how I'm viewing the game. The Milwaukee Bucks added Joe Ingles, who I actually like. He shoots 40% from 3. And tonight hit 2 threes that I actually thought were a little bit important. Brook Lopez is playing some of the best basketball of his career. It is really unbelievable how that guy's been able to continue to progress on the offensive and defensive end of the court. You could argue he's a defensive player of the year this year. We'll see what happens there. But offensively, his ability to shoot, his ability to score in the post. When he was with the Nets years ago, I think they were the New Jersey Nets at the time, but when he was in the Nets, he was mostly like a mid-range back to the basket kind of player, and could average 20, 25 a game. And he's completely turned his game to where he's adaptable to the new NBA. Him and Al Horford actually probably are the 2 best examples of guys who used to play kind of an older style, and as the game became more perimeter oriented, developed that 3-point shot so well that they're really, really efficient at it, and weapons when you have other guys on the court like Giannis. I actually think Giannis is a pretty good playmaker. I think in the playoffs last year, you even saw that against the Boston Celtics, but with Khris Middleton out, they struggled having the shooting on the court that maybe you would want, and they struggled from 3 really in that series in general. Khris Middleton tonight, I think, was aggressive. I liked his aggressiveness as he's come back from this injury. He's come off the bench some games. He's been trying to find his role again on the team. And I like the way that he played tonight, because I think if the Bucks are going to reach that potential of winning another NBA Finals, Khris Middleton is really important. I think really, especially down the stretch in games, because Giannis can get to the basket, make big plays, but sometimes you need a tough mid-range shot. You need a big 3, and I think Khris Middleton's their guy for that. Jrue Holiday is the most underrated player in basketball, probably, definitely in that discussion. A lot of guys will call him the best perimeter defensive player in basketball. Kevin Durant has said that for a little while. And then offensively, he takes and makes big shots. Tonight he had 18 points, 7 for 11 from the field. Bobby Portis off the bench, 8 of 11 from the field. Khris Middleton, 6 of 14. Brook Lopez, 9 of 13. So this team has so many good things about it, and it plays defense at a really high level. Offensively, without Khris Middleton this year, they've been a little middle of the pack, but I think once you add Khris Middleton to that mix and you get in the playoffs, we've seen this team have massive success. So going into this playoff run, I absolutely and unequivocally think the Bucks should be the favorites. They were my preseason pick to win the NBA Finals and come out of the Eastern Conference, and I'm sticking by that. The Boston Celtics, they played the other night. The Bucks were on 5 games in 7 nights, so I didn't make much of it. But massively impressive from the Bucks tonight. I want to talk briefly about the Sixers. I do not like Doc Rivers as a coach. And I think in the playoffs, having James Harden, who's had questionable moments, Joel Embiid, who's had questionable moments, and Doc Rivers, who I think horribly overrated as a coach. I just don't trust him. I just don't trust that this team could win 3 consecutive playoff series to get to the NBA Finals. I think that something will go wrong. Embiid will get up limping one game, or James Harden will have a tight hamstring, or whatever else will happen with this Philadelphia 76ers team. I don't like their depth enough to make the NBA Finals. I don't think they're better than Boston or Milwaukee. So ultimately, I don't know what the ceiling is for the Sixers team. Maybe you could make the Eastern Conference Finals if you take down the Celtics in round 2. But if you're playing that Milwaukee Bucks team, I don't think that that's going to work for him. Brook Lopez is going to do as good of a job as anybody on Giannis or on Embiid, and Giannis can help on that. And then Jrue Holiday on James Harden gives him absolute fits. All in all, impressive performance from the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. Let's be honest about what we're seeing on the court, and that's that Giannis is the best player in basketball, that Giannis deserves to be ahead of Embiid in the MVP race, and I actually would have Jokic in front of Embiid as well, but that's a different story for another day. All in all, keep watching this Bucks team as we head into the playoffs. Sixers have a big game against Boston on Tuesday night, so we're going to be watching that one, and that will That's Embiid's last chance to make a run for this MVP race, especially against Jason Tatum, who's playing well and is in 4th place in that MVP race. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Cyborg out.